This is what I have so far. This is my drum break that I made. Oh, and let me show you one more. So right now I'm making a drum break sample pack, and frankly speaking, on the internet there is very little scarce information about how to make a sample pack, how to market sample pack, where to sell your sample pack, very little information. So I decided to fill this gap by recording this vlog style video, and I will walk you through of how I decided to record a sample pack, what I'm doing right now, because I'm not done yet. I have finished probably like 8 or 9 drum breaks. So let me tell you, the whole idea of recording an actual sample pack of drum breaks came to me about 1 year ago, because I like challenging myself, and within music I love all those inspiring things. For example, for me to record, to mix and master and release a drum break sample pack seems like a challenge, because I've never done it before in my life. So my plan was the following: to find a recording studio where they have drums, this is number 2, this is very important, to find a specialist, sound engineer who knows how to record drums, because it's not a simple process, and finally, I think the most important thing, to find a drummer. And in my city, I can easily find a lot of drummers, but 90% of them are typical, what you say, rock drummers. No disrespect to rock drummers, but this is completely opposite from what I needed for my sample pack, for my sound. I needed a person, a drummer, who has a lot of experience playing drums, obviously, and a lot of experience how to record the drums, because not all of them actually had experience when they are connected to 12 microphones and when they record something. This is not just playing, this is recording a whole different story. Eventually I found the person that I needed. He understood that I need to record a sample pack, because not all drummers record sample packs, you know, every Tuesday, so to say. Before the recording I prepared some drum panels on my MPC. I sent these demos to the drummer we prepared, although I made a couple of mistakes right here. Let's talk about them. Mistake number 1: too little studio time. Like, I booked, I believe, 2 or 3 hours of studio time, and guys, this was not enough. We were extremely pressed for time, because about 40-50 minutes we spent just setting the microphones, tightening, damping, softening the drums, placing some blankets inside, even the hoodies, and the mixing engineer, he tested all the drum sounds, because we needed like a dry sounds of the drums. So basically me and my friend, we were chilling and chatting for about 40-50 minutes, went to McDonald's, returned, and the drummer and the mixing engineer were still doing this thing. I haven't finished this drum sample pack yet, but I'm planning the second, volume 2, so to say. My mistake will be fixed. I will book more studio time with break for lunch, for mixing engineer, for the drummer, of course, for me. Yes, so more studio time, probably like 5 hours or 6, I don't know. Just setting up the drums is extremely important, like 1 hour dedicated to this. I need the sound right from the get-go, from the start, because I don't want to fix all of the problems in post. I need to have the best recording possible from the start already. The second thing that held me back for quite a while was actually choosing between Logic Pro and Ableton, where to mix and edit all those drum breaks. And let me tell you why I had this big question. I've been using Logic Pro as my main software, as my main DAW for a lot of years. I use it for recording, mixing, mastering, so every time I do not use MPC or other samplers, I use Logic Pro. But recently, about 1 year ago, I purchased this wonderful Push 3, and I started using Ableton. Before, it was never installed on my computer, so about a year and a half ago, I installed Ableton for the first time, and I started using like Push 3/Ableton combination. I don't want to start a debate right here in the comment section, but for me personally, Ableton is not the best DAW for music production. For me, a lot of things are much more better built in MPC, for example, in terms of warping, in terms of editing samples. Ableton Live, it's a big compromise for me in a lot of things, but it's a great program, but just different workflow, and I don't agree with everything that there is in Ableton. So I was interested where it would be more convenient for me to work with samples, and really I wanted to go for Ableton Live, because recently I've been been working with their new update, and they introduced this saturation plugin called Roar, and it's a really great saturation plugin. You instantly get some sound that you need. It really shapes the sound. Believe it or not, it's a very small, simple plugin, but it gives you very great result. And I wanted to use it in my sample pack workflow. And maybe because of my horoscope sign, I'm Libra, and it's very typical for me to, not be sure about something in the start, in the beginning. And I was wondering about the studio, about the house for like a couple of days, maybe a week, watching some videos, like debates between Logic and Ableton. And then when I realized that this is going already into some procrastination, I decided like, okay, stop. So I uploaded these 12 tracks to Logic and to Ableton Live, like simultaneously. I opened these two programs, and I decided this way: if I start feeling more comfortable using Logic or Ableton, I will stick to this program. And oh god, I really wanted to work with Ableton, but then I had all those questions that were arising, like, alright, how to do this, like one of the basic things. I go to internet, I Google this on YouTube, okay, found the answer. Probably didn't like the answer because it took me longer than in Logic. Then I continued working another question, like basic function. I go to internet, maybe I find the answer, maybe I don't find the answer. So I had a couple of questions, like really big questions, fundamental, that I weren't satisfied with how it worked. Well, actually, let me show you what I'm talking about. This is the drum break in Logic, and here is the same drum break, however, it's unedited in Ableton Live. But for that purpose, it doesn't really matter. When you upload the WAV files, usually they start somewhere. Yeah, for example, here, you see that there is a lot of silence because probably the drummer was listening to metronome or something, and then it starts eventually with a kick. Sometimes it starts with something else. And for example, when I need to find this first zero crossing spot, exactly perfect zero crossing where nothing is in between there, in Logic it's very simple. You select Marquee tool, then you Command press and right arrow. Boom, you deleted the sound, let me return it. It actually goes to the first point, zero cross point, where this waveform, if you look closer, where it starts going up, exactly perfect position to split the region. In Ableton, there is no such function, so in order to chop it somewhere to find the beginning, you need to do it manually. So you can delete the first part and then zoom in really close, find this position and do it manually. I presume that it goes up somewhere here, so to stay safe we can say that here is the first point where we crop all the files. And this is the second thing, to crop all the files, because in Ableton there is basically no such thing as the playhead if we compare it to typical DAWs, because here is your typical playhead and you can, for example, Command A, and then if I need to cut out the snare from somewhere, Command T, and then Command T. Boom. I think it's... yeah, okay, it's a kick, it's not a snare, but anyway, I can delete these files, or for example, I can take and copy them to the next section if I need to do so. And by the way, there is that Z button where you can zoom out, zoom in really quick. You can do it like this, select all your clips very quickly, and then return to editing in this full mode, so to say, zoom really in, very quickly, very easy. While in Ableton, you are not able to do so. For example, if I want to cut out this snare from all the 12 files, I need to do it from here or from this point, because if I start selecting from here, it will just move my clip. So I do it like this. It was not enough of space on my trackpad, so I'll do this one more time. I will not cut it from the editing, so that you see how long it takes. Then the second part, like this. Command E, and then the most important thing, for example, I want to delete this thing in between. What should I do? If I again choose it like this, it will delete only the section that I chose, so I need to be very precise and very careful. I need to select only like these two things, and again, how much time it takes me to delete it. Or if I want to move them somewhere, again, it's not enough to select, for example, half of the clips like this and move, because it will move only this selected part. However, in Logic, again, select all, Command Trim, I need this, and I shouldn't be very precise to, make it from this side to that side. I can do it like this real quick and move it or copy it, because I can select like this, this, I can select whole, but in Ableton, when you select the clips, you need to be very, very specific, like where should you end your selection, because if you, for example, select this part, you will move only that part, you will not move all your clips. All your clips you need to move like this, which is not really convenient, again, for that purpose of mixing and editing the samples. When you're in the production, you don't really care about it, but when you're mixing, it's, you know, seconds and minutes that eventually turn up into days that you spend, waste your time doing some operations like this. Next thing is really good warping in Logic, because you go into warp mode. For example, here is slicing, and I can select all, and for example, if I want to move this snare, I can just move the snare everywhere on all of my tracks. You see, this is very convenient. In Ableton, you also can do this thing, so you select all again. And by the way, in Logic, it's really simple. For example, you can select only the second part and move some, I don't know, snare only in the second clip, which again is very difficult in Ableton. First of all, you need to select all your tracks, then press link tracks. Only after this, when, for example, you move right here and find the starting point, for example, this snare right here, I want to move all the snares in all the clips. So I put the marker, let's have a look at it, and you see it moves all the clips, job's done. But then again, you need to select your starting point, because when you select your first kick or first sound, usually it's a kick, you need to select to start like from 1-1-1, otherwise it will stretch in a very weird way, not aligned to these bars. Other important thing which is missing is strip silence. For example, I can press Ctrl X and it will detect all the pieces that I want, for example like this, boom, it's ready. In Ableton, there is no such thing. I already googled it. There is some Max for Live plugin which you need to buy, download or something. But again, this is so long, like why is it not here? In almost any DAW there is strip silence function. So I decided to go for Logic in terms of working with drum breaks, because with Ableton Live I will still continue using it with my push 3 when I do beat making, but not for editing drums, unfortunately. In the next video I'm going to show you some of the plugins that I used for sample pack, and I started loving those plugins that I never used before. And right now you can watch these videos right here where I show you how to make your music sound better.